topic of this video today is conversions in the U.S. system of measure. Many of us know many truths in our lives. Like we know there's 7 days in a week. We know there's 24 hours in a day. We know there's 12 inches in a foot. Those are what I'm going to call to you truths in our lives, but there are many that we don't know. And these truths that are equivalents to one another, 7 days is 1 week, we're going to use those to convert a number that is described in feet, miles, cups, gallons, quarts, to a unit of measure that we need for our particular application. This is particularly useful in health fields, technical fields, engineering fields. There's just sciences, all the sciences have to have something given to them. For example, here's one, your weight in pounds. In the health systems, many of the health systems, we need that value in kilograms. So we've got to take your weight and what I call convert into kilograms so that we can prescribe the correct dosage of medicine for you based on your weight. Lots of reasons to do conversions. There are some conversions that you don't know. And I have a list of those that I'm going to put up on the screen right now for you to see. We just shared a document on the screen, and I'm going to kind of show it from far away, that have some common units of conversions. Truths, like I've been mentioning, equivalencies, like 12 inches in a foot. If you're one of my students, I'm going to make that document available to you in class. Some of the common ones that I'd like to share with you, though, that are on this document are the fact that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. That's a very helpful in the engineering field to be able to convert a unit of distance. Another one that our allied health students need to memorize, now this is in the metric system, and we'll be working more on that in the next video, but in 1 ounce, there is 30 milliliters. I probably could write that backwards and say in 1 ounce, there is 30 milliliters. That's a truth that you're going to need to know. Other ones, you know, there's 2 cups in a pint, 1 pint. So again, common units of conversion. What I'd like to do is I'd like to help you understand how you would take a number that is described in feet or in milliliters or in pints and convert that to another unit of measure. Before we do that, I'm going to share with you why the method we use works. And it's got to do with your knowledge of multiplying fractions. So let me share a multiplication problem with fractions. When you multiply 2/3 times 9/11, you see that the 3 in the denominator of the first fraction and the 9 in the numerator have a common factor. That common factor is the number 3. And a quick way to do this multiplication problem is to say 3 goes into here once and 3 goes into here 3 times. And then you go ahead and multiply straight across. So 2 times 3 is 6 and 1 times 11 is 11. And you're all done. I'd like to take that to an application that you would be comfortable with. You drive your car down the highway at 70 miles per hour. And I'm going to write, these are called the units of measure for your speed, 70 miles per hour. Please notice that when I write units that describe a number, and if it involves a fraction, I'm going to be using a flat bar. I am not going to be writing that as miles per hour. This angled bar makes for conversion to be very difficult. So again, you're driving your car at 70 miles per hour, and you drive for 3 hours. And you know in your head that if you go 70 miles per hour for 3 hours, that you're going to travel 210 miles. What I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how these units are going to be used for us to recognize that our answer should be described in miles. Like this fraction problem where I can remove a common factor of 3, when I convert, I can remove words. So this is 70 as in miles per hour, and this time is in 3 hours. The words, hours, one in the numerator, one in the denominator, will be canceled. They're equivalent. They're equal to 1, if you will. And then I can see that my answer to this problem, the only words that are left when I take 70 times 3, is the word miles. Let's now go ahead and apply that to some conversion problems. So I'm going to start with another one involving miles. So if I want to convert the distance of 2 miles, and I want to put that in terms of feet, I'll go ahead and get rid of this too. What I have to do is I have to look on my, in case I don't know, my conversion table and find out a truth that I know about miles and feet. And also, when I find that truth, I'm going to put it into a fraction, and I want the word miles to disappear. This 2 miles is over 1, please. It's the word miles is in the numerator. So in order to convert miles into feet, I'm going to put the word miles down here because I know I want to cross those off, and I'm going to put the word feet up here, and then I've got to look on this table and I've got to discover that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So I chose to put the 5,280 in the numerator because I knew I had to put the word miles in the denominator, and I know that this is a truth, that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. I can now cross off those words, miles, and when I do the multiplication with my calculator, 2 times 5,280, I get the results being 10,560, and now my units of feet are correct. Also, would you kind of just think about this? 2 miles, maybe you walked 2 miles. You know that's a lot of feet. And so this seems like a practical value, so pause and say to yourself, does that seem like a reasonable answer? Let's do another one involving time. So let's convert 36 hours into minutes. And so I need you to pause and think to yourself, do I know something about the number of minutes in an hour? And that one you know. You know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. You know those truths I was telling you about? Those truths always have a number 1. In this case, it's 1 hour is 60 minutes. So in this fraction that you're going to write to, and it's also called the factor label method of converting. In this fraction that you're going to write, because the word hours are in your given, you're going to write the units, word hours, in your denominator, and because you know this truth right here, you'll write the word minutes, and now you'll put the 1 where it belongs next to the word hours, and you'll put the 60 next to the word minutes. Some people say to me, how do I know if I'm going to multiply by 60 or divide by 60? And that is the only 2 options here, multiply by 60 or divide by 60, and it's got to do with the fact that your given was in hours. You had to put the 1 hour in this denominator so you could remove that common word, and now know that you could take 36 times 60 on your calculator and get 2,160 minutes. Let's do a problem that's going to force you to divide. So I'm going to take 316 quarts, and I'm going to abbreviate the word quarts, a liquid measure. I'm going to abbreviate that by QTS, and I want to convert that to gallons. So this word quarts with the 36 is in the numerator, so I've got to come over here, a flat fraction bar, and I'm kind of wondering if I know a truth about quarts and gallons. So in case I don't know it, I get this sheet out and I look for it and I go, oh, I see that there's 4 quarts. 4 quarts in 1 gallon. And that tells me, again, because this word quarts is in the numerator and this is the denominator, it tells me to put the 4 downstairs now and the 1 upstairs. I'm going to remove the word quarts, But in this problem now, I know that what I have to do is take 316 times 1. Don't type that. That's 316. So you just have to take on your calculator 316 and divide by 4. I'm gonna write this down. So on your calculator, 316, hit that divide by symbol, 4, and you will get a result of 79 gallons. Let's just do a few more that involve multiple conversions in one problem. So let's go, well, I'm going to stick with an easy one first, though. 104 inches, and I want to convert that into feet. Again, wanting to really build your strength at doing this. And you know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So think for just a minute. Is the 12 going to go in the denominator or in the numerator? Again, you were given something in inches. You put a flat bar here. What word do you put here? We're going to put the word inches there because this is upstairs, that's downstairs. The word feet here, and I know that in 1 foot there is 12 inches. I often like to reinforce this concept of equivalency and tell you that this right here is an equal thing. It's like representative of the number 1. 1 foot is 12 inches, but I'm going to remove that word inches, top and bottom, and so I need to take 104 times 1, not really. I just need to take 104 on my calculator and divide it by 12. And when you do that, you will get 8.6, and those 6's are going to repeat, so I'm going to put a bar over top of that 6 so that I can tell the person who's reading this or using this information that that's really 8.6666666. There is a discussion on significant digits, but I'm not going to address that in this video. Let's go with 89 gallons, and let's convert that into pints. So this one's going to require, possibly, in case you don't know how to go directly from gallons to pints, 2 steps. And I like to do it in 2 steps because I happen to know that it just comes to the top of my head, that in 1 gallon there are 4 quarts. So that's easier for me. That's kind of a jug of milk thing. I know there's 4 quarts. And so I can remove those words. My answer now, if I took 89 times 4, would be in quarts. And I don't know if I didn't do that. I'm going to do that in my head. I think that's 356 quarts. Many people like to stop and write that value down and then continue on to the process of converting quarts to pints. It's not necessary, but many people like to do that. So the 89 times 4 is the 356. My units are in quarts. So now I've got to go quarts to pints, and I'm pretty sure that in 1 quart there are 2 pints. Again, you refer to a conversion sheet to determine that. I'm going to cross off those word quarts, and finally my answer to this problem is 712 pints. We often use PTS for pints. Let's see, let's go to a unit of speed, and we'll close with this. So before we go there, I want to talk to you about that driving 210 miles in 3 hours. And so this is not a conversion problem. I'm just trying to get you to understand speed. If you drive 210 miles, and I'm trying to push the concept of how important words that describe numbers are, because they help you understand what units you're dealing with. If you took 210 miles and did that in 3 hours in your car, 210 divided by 3 is 70, and the units that describe that are miles per hour. 70 miles per hour is the speed of your vehicle, but I need you to understand that that's the result of a distance, in this case I made it up, 210 miles, divided by a unit of time to get that speed or velocity. Now what I'd like to do, and the problem here for many people is that this number is described by 2 words, miles per hour. I'm going to erase that. I want to take 70 miles per hour, and I want to convert that into feet per second. So I've got to tackle both the numerator and the denominator's words in order to convert this from a speed that I'm accustomed to, driving my car at 70 miles per hour, to something that I'm a little bit less familiar with. Let's go with the miles first. So it's in the numerator. So the word miles is in the numerator. I'm going to put the word miles down here and the word feet up here, because I seem to recall that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And as a result of multiplying 70 by 5,280, my answer would be in feet per hour. Hopefully I wrote that down here somewhere. It looks like that is 369,600, not feet per second yet, but feet per hour. And I want to convert that, I'm not done yet. I want to convert that into feet per second. So now I've got to tackle this word in this number. And so I got to use the factor label method. So I'm going to multiply by a fraction. We always say multiply by a fraction, but be careful. The 1 might not be downstairs. And this word hour here, I want to get rid of it. So I've got to put the word hour upstairs. And I happen to know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And so do you. And so we're going to cross those words off. And in this case, remember up here, I multiplied to get this in feet per hour. Here, to get rid of the hours and get this in feet per minute, I have to take 369,600 times 1. Not really. I know that's just 369,600. And divide by 60. And when you do that, you get 6,160 feet per minute. But remember, I didn't want this in feet per minute. I wanted this in feet per second. And so I'm now going to use the factor label method again. And I'm going to put the word minutes up here, the word seconds down here, because I want those words to cross off. So my answer will be in feet per second. And I happen to know that in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. And I can remove this common factor. And when I take 6,160 and divide by 60, I get a result of 102.6 feet per second. I spent this video on the US system of measure. We'll need to work with the metric system and going backwards and forwards between the two, because that's particularly important for the health fields.